Hopefully by now, many of you have spotted the somewhat large compilation of videos that I've dropped over the last 3 or 4 days, which are interviews or speeches by law enforcement individuals who were involved in Kiely's case, and I've basically sorted them all according to individuals, or where there were one or two individuals that only said small amounts, according to agencies. So there is now a playlist which you can go to, and I'll link the playlist at the bottom of this video. But now starts with the part of going through all these statements and actually having a look at what people have actually said. And I'm going to start with Sam Brown because he said a lot. Now, originally I thought that what I would do would be that I would go through the 3 separate videos that I have of things that Sam Brown said and sort things into categories. But I realised that considering there's probably close to an hour's worth of content there, that could be a logistical nightmare to try and do. So I'm just going to start from the beginning with the Sam Brown interviews, starting with the 9th of August and work my way through to the 22nd of August. And then I can refer back on those occasions where he does, in fact, contradict himself. So let's jump in to the first of these Sam Brown analysis videos.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sam Brown. I'm a captain with the Nevada County Sheriff's Office. First off, I really just want to say thank you for the partnership that we've had in our unified command. Placer County is always a great partner and helps us out quite a bit and is able to help us expand on the abilities of what we can do in a situation like this.
Okay, so it's been nearly 2 years, so I will recognise that I have perhaps forgotten a few things over time, but correct me if I'm wrong. Here he is thanking Placer County for their help with the search. But wasn't it Placer County who were in charge of the search in the first place? Because of where Kiely lived and because of the location of the party?
I mean, there's so many agencies to list realistically, but Truckee Police Department, CHP, the FBI, I mean, the list goes on, and we have a lot of people that are here giving support and folks in the field. Between our 100 or 150-ish law enforcement officials, we have about 100 searchers in the field and people such as yourselves that are coming out and providing all the community support. That's really what's going to be needed to help to hopefully find some clues or some solutions on where we're at and how do we move forward.
So straight out of the gate, this is the very first press conference, and already it's all about the manpower that they had, the number of people they had searching, and the number of agencies they had searching. And note also, he says he's talking about these agencies about it gives us a direction ahead and a direction of what to do. Here's what you needed to do. You needed to find Kiely. Did you think that's what you were trying to do? He has not mentioned here that the goal was to find Kiely. And maybe I'm just nitpicking, but it sounds like for him, the logistics are far more important than the outcome.
I think the biggest message I can say is that we're leaving no stone unturned. We're really working as hard as we possibly can. Teams are tired, much like the family. And we're trying to do our best so that we're supporting the family. We've tried to meet with them regularly and make sure that they have our contact information, and we're trying to be as transparent as possible and continue on in our investigation and our search.
It's all just words, isn't it? There's nothing really concrete that he's saying here. It's all about we're so good, we're doing such a good job. We've put in so many hours, we're working really hard, we're really tired. And then I found it really odd that he said that we're making sure that the family have contact information for our agency. It's just a really odd comment to say, because wouldn't that be part of the whole initial reporting that the child is missing. I mean, the family approached law enforcement to say that their child was missing, so I'm pretty certain that they know how to contact law enforcement. And he doesn't say we are meeting with the family regularly. He says we try to meet with the family regularly. There's a difference there, and I'm just wondering. Well, I'm wondering if he's speaking out of his ass, basically, because, like I said, Placer County were in charge of the investigation, were in charge of the search. So they're all things that I would have expected to be under Placer County's job list, not Sam Brown's job list. I could be just completely misinterpreting this, but that's the way I see it. I'd love to know what other people are thinking here. Am I right? Am I wrong? It just seems that all this is just him trying to sound important when his agency is secondary to the search.
Again, I just really want to thank everybody for the partnership, and that we're going to continue working throughout this process and hopefully come up with some positive news that we can bring back to all of you.
One thing that I think is worth paying attention to as we work through all these speeches is who actually refers to Kiely and who actually refers to Kiely's family. He refers to the family in this speech, but he never once mentions Kiely's name. To me, that is significant, because isn't that the goal? Aren't you here to try and find Kiely? For him, it seems to be all about the logistics, and this is what we're doing. We're so important, we're working hard, we're putting in 1,900 or 19,000 man hours so that Adventures with Purpose can come in and find her in half an hour. I mean, even talking about the outcome, he doesn't say, hoping that we can come and tell you that we've found Kiely and that she's safe. No, he's about, we want to be able to come and give you some positive news. Not once has he said Kiely's name.
How difficult is it just being able to cross that border or finding resources to partner with such dense areas around the area?
That's not the greatest audio, but the gist of the question, I believe, is he was asking about the difficulty in terms of having a state border and also in terms of the dense terrain.
I think that we're fortunate to have technology on our side in all reality to deal with some of those pieces of locating, say, a license plate and things of that nature. But in relation to Placer and Nevada County, it's been pretty fluid and things have been going pretty well on that end as far as crossing state lines and things of that nature. If you mean more like in a geographical border, we put everything in place that we can for location of the vehicle, and if there's something where somebody knows where she's at or has information, that's what we're needing to put something together. And our hope is that we'll get some sort of piece of information from doing stuff like this and people in the community that really care and want to have some help in solving this.
So here he is saying that they are accessing every possible technology for locating her vehicle, including plate readers and any technology either side of the border that would assist them in finding her vehicle. This is important because further on down the track, he backtracks and claims that that would have just been too hard logistically to have done. And yet here he's basically saying they're pulling out all the stops and accessing everything possible, and that they have technology on their side in terms of trying to find her vehicle.
Yeah, thank you everybody for coming out. I think to start off, I just want to emphasize that we're still in unified command with the Placer County Sheriff's Office, and we're trying to gather as much information as possible, and we're really thankful for our partners. Everybody's mentioned them before. and there's tons more agencies that aren't here present that are participating, especially in the search for Kiely.
Finally, a mention of Kiely. But once again, we have the mention of the sheer number of agencies that are involved in this search. Seems to me that, sadly, the search for Kiely was a huge political thing for many of the people involved in this. And I wouldn't be surprised if down the track you see Sam Brown being promoted into some higher position.
To date, we have about 3,000 man hours of searching that's gone on, and we're going to continue those search efforts going forward. We've had anything from air support, ground pounders, canines, UTVs, side-by-sides, boats.
Two significant things here. He is mentioning that they did actually have dogs in, and that's come up in a few of the different speeches in the videos that we've looked at over the last couple of days. But when he says side-by-sides, I am going to presume that he's talking about side scan sonar, which we know that many of the agencies that went out onto the reservoir had on their boats, meaning that Prosser Reservoir was searched by multiple agencies using side scan sonar.
Air support from the state, local, and even at times federal resources. And so there's been nothing held back resource-wise in an attempt to try to locate Kiely or any clues thereof.
Now, once you start talking about state and federal resources, you know that you are looking at top-of-the-range equipment. And in regards to talking about state and federal resources, he is talking about planes, meaning that you do have infrared technology there, at the very least. You have different types of sonar and LiDAR, and if it's federal technology, I'm going to presume that the LiDAR technology for the federally owned planes would be adequate, more than adequate, to allow mapping of the bottom of the reservoir. Perhaps not when it's 50 feet down, but certainly when it's 14 feet down. Basically, what he's saying here is that they have used every available technology in the search for Kiely, and yet they're coming up empty-handed. Now, I know that there's a lot of negativity towards Sam Brown, and it seems to be that the narrative that has been adopted over the past 2 years is that he lied the whole way through the search. But honestly, to me, the things that he's saying here don't come across as deceptive. To me, they sound like someone who is just trying to make it sound like his agency is pretty damn good and that they are doing everything possible. It is about sounding impressive, and I don't think that he was lying about the technology or the manpower or anything like that that was being used. So my question is, because I also have accepted this narrative that perhaps Sam Brown is corrupt and perhaps he lied to us all the way through, but where did this notion come from that during the search we were being lied to by individuals such as Sam Brown? Where's the solid evidence of this? I know this is going to be unpopular, me saying this, but it just concerns me that I'm not seeing, when I go back through these interviews, I'm not seeing any deliberate attempts at deception. Down the track, when there's a bit of egg on their face because they didn't find Kiely, then he backtracks on statements. But he seems pretty definitive with the things that he's saying so far. So I believe him that they did have all these searches. They did have all that high-tech equipment brought in and all the agencies helping out.
One thing innovative that the team came up with while we've been dealing with this is a way for the community, who has been extremely supportive and extremely interested in wanting to be participants in what's going on, and who are going out actively into the field and searching. Our team was able to create a map that will allow folks in the community who are going out to track their tracks so that we can monitor and see those types of things and see if that adds some information. I'm not sure that this has ever been attempted before. We do have some concerns that it could shut down our system if too many people are logging on. So hopefully the folks that are logging on and uploading tracks are doing so justifiably and with good intention. Because if it doesn't work out, we would ultimately have to shut it down if it stops the progress or creates some problems. But those.
Okay, so to me that's another example of grandstanding, saying our team created a map. No, they didn't create a map. They decided to use an existing app for the purpose of logging people's search route. So they didn't create anything. They just utilised something that was already there. And yes, it was somewhat innovative to do so, but they didn't create Kale Topo. That was there long beforehand. And now I can see both sides of, some people are saying, well, he's saying, don't look at this Kale Topo, don't look at it, you're going to crash the system. People may think, well, here they are trying to stop people from seeing what's happening in terms of searching. But I think what we have to remember is that at this point, even this early on, there was suddenly a lot of interest from mainstream media and social media. And I do recall hearing that there were a lot of people from social media who were accessing the Kale Topo app for the purpose of putting it on their YouTube channels or whatever, and that it was making it hard for it to remain efficient because of the excess number of people that were using it. I believe there was a YouTube channel who put the barcode up and people were starting to access it because of that. So I understand what he's saying there. So it could be either way, and I know there are people who will say, well, no, they're just saying don't look because we don't want you to see what's going on. But at the same time, don't forget, all the Kale Topo app was showing people was civilians who were searching. It wasn't giving people access to where law enforcement was searching, because obviously they needed to keep some level of privacy with regards to that so as to not compromise the investigation.
Those folks who have gone into the field or are going into the field on their own volition as citizens in the community, or folks who have come here to help out, there is a process that they can log on, gain access to the Kale Topo app, and be able to submit tracks to our team who has some overhead and is able to review it and put that into our mapping process, but also allow us to keep going on with our professional searchers and the folks who are moving forward in business. Hopefully by tomorrow, we'll also have a system set up where folks who have gone out into the field already and maybe are using GPS and things of that nature to track their progress, will be able to upload that information and again help us to supply with, are we in the right direction? Are we searching the right areas? Have we covered somewhere? Do we need to cover somewhere a little bit more thorough, and what that looks like? And so it's more pieces to the puzzle.
That all sounds really great in theory. But here's the question that I have. There were so many reports of individuals who had called the tip line and never had any follow-up. So how do we know that with all these people who were logging things on the CalTopo app, that law enforcement were actually bothering to take the time to look at what civilians were actually adding to CalTopo? Because it's only effective if you are taking advantage of the information that you're being given. And it seems that with other areas of the search, they certainly weren't taking advantage of information that was being given to them. So how can we know that they were how can we know that they were actually using the CalTopo app effectively?
We're struggling with clues, and so searches aren't super successful if you don't have a direction of where to search. At this point, we have a point last seen, and we're expanding beyond that point last seen in a systematic way that hopefully is capturing right-of-ways and things that would make sense for somebody who is leaving the area. And we're doing the best that we can in an attempt to locate Kiely.
So something important that I'm taking away from what he just said and all that, yeah, there's a lot of words there and a lot of, we're so good, we're doing all this important stuff. But at the crux of all that, he's talking about where they're searching, how they're searching, and he's talking about searching all the right-of-ways or whatever he referred to, and the routes that Kiely could have possibly taken leaving the party. So what he's saying there does not give any indication that at this point in time law enforcement did have any belief that there had been an abduction. And to be honest, there never was any evidence of an abduction. The only thing that made people think that there could have been an abduction was Sammy Smith, because she was trying to say, don't look here, Kiely's a smart girl, she wouldn't drink drive, she couldn't possibly have done anything bad herself, someone must have taken her, this is my fear. And we know also that in terms of resources, in order to get extra resources, they had to say that there was a possibility of abduction. That doesn't mean that they believed it. It meant that they got a whole heap of extra resources thrown at them by labelling it as a possible abduction. But what he's saying here, in terms of the way they were searching, certainly doesn't, to me, indicate that law enforcement believed for one moment that there had been an abduction. Now, I realise that by trying to limit the videos to around 20-25 minutes, that it is going to make for a lengthy series. But at the same time, I think there is so much information that was being put out throughout the various presses and the community meetings that for me it's easier just to look at smaller chunks, because as soon as you start getting into half an hour, 40-minute videos, there's a lot of information to take in. So I'm going to stop here with this particular video and then continue on with this tomorrow. So thanks for listening. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel, hit the like, and please leave a comment below.
I've been